But there's a lot of times that when I'm working with somebody, they have a lot of equipment that's been purchased that they're not putting nearly enough hours on. And what does that mean? That was an ego buy. You bought it because it was cool. That's what's wrong a little bit with our manly mindset is we like cool things, and we'll go out and we'll buy, we'll buy a bed edger that we really don't need. We're not going to put enough hours on it. I'm not saying, that just first thing popped in my head. I'm not telling you not to have a bed edger. I'm saying whatever you buy, whether it's a skid steer, whether it's a truck, whether it's a lawnmower, whether it's a Z-Spray, whatever it is, make sure it's something that you're going to put enough hours on to justify the cost. Doug's got a good question here. How about owning equipment for snow, but it sits the rest of the season? Man, that is an awesome question, Doug. As long as you're calculating the cost per hour of operation based on the hours of use that you're using something, it's kind of like an aerating machine or a slit seating machine. Same thing. We don't use those all year long. So we got to calculate our cost per hour of operation based on years of use or hours of use that we are using them. And as long as you're doing that, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So that's why it's so important to know why you charge what you charge. And if you utilize that bidding information that we have available, it makes it simple to understand that, where you could take a snow plow or a salt spreader or a Z-Spray or a lawnmower or a string trimmer or whatever it is, a blower, your leaf vacuum's another thing. A leaf vacuum, something we're using 6 to 8, maybe 9 weeks a year, right? But certainly, as long as we're calculating the cost, that's really what it boils down to. That's all. Doesn't matter if it's an ego buy, if you know what it costs you to use it. In other words, if you want to go out and buy a skid steer that you're going to use on one job and recover the cost of that skid steer on that one job, hey, that's okay if you want to do that. But maybe we should have went out and rented something rather than buying it. But if the scope of the job's large enough, and I don't want to keep hammering that to death, but we just got to know that don't buy something, have it sitting around at the shop and letting everything else pay for it, because that's where we get in trouble. That's where the ego buying starts to cost you a lot of money. Another big profit killer that we see from the landscaping side is guys that strictly use plant cost times 2 something pricing. Where it's plant cost times 2, plant cost times 3, whatever multiplier that you're using based on what you think the market will bear. A lot of times it covers expenses, it covers cost, but you're doing it out of luck. So it really boils down to, again, just calculate your cost per hour. If you want to assign a multiplier to that for landscaping, and you know that, hey, I need 2.65 times to make it work based on my cost per hour of operation, then that's okay. But if you don't know that, then I certainly suggest that you do that and stop doing plant cost or material cost times a multiplier just because you think that's what the industry standard is. Another thing that's a big old profit killer is forgetting about your additional overhead. You say, well, what do you mean, Wayne? Fuel, maintenance, insurance, labor? Yeah, that's all direct, indirect costs. Those are expenses. But what about the additional overhead? And that's what a lot of times we overlook, like the shirts that you buy, your cell phone, your letterhead, your envelopes, postage, anything that you buy that your company pays for is additional overhead. Don't forget about that. It's easy to think about the insurance, the loan payment, the depreciation. Those things are easy to come up with, but we forget about the little things sometimes. The rent on the office space that you're renting. As basic as that sounds. Well, I'm paying for that out of profit. Well, then, no, it's overhead. It's overhead. So don't forget about the little/big things that you expect your company to pay for. Because, again, that's why initially when you talk to somebody, or I talk to a lot of contractors, they'll tell me that their profit margin's one thing, but when we start looking at an actual profit and loss sheet, and we put it onto a profit and loss sheet, or going through and just looking at income versus expenses, well, where's your labor? Where's this? Where's that? Well, I pay that out of my profit. No, that's not right. Let's do it the right way.